talk about process, but what they care about is outcomes.
People care about outcomes.
That's what politics is.
That is, and remember, this is the context, right? It's the least productive Congress in history. And this is a president that has not used executive. Look, the labor movement had been asking him to do this for 5 years.
Yes.
And he just did it. And frankly, you know, in terms of the number of workers, I know this is a question. In terms, it's only going to affect new government contractors, right? So people are making this to be even a bigger issue than it should be. And there still has to be pressure on the president, I think, to issue an executive order that's broader than what we're hearing so far.
Finally, the authorization for the use of military force is, to me, the biggest enabler of executive overreach right now. And that was passed by Congress. It was passed nearly unanimously. And the big question, I think, is Congress going to revisit that at some point? Because right now, if you want to talk about the imperial presidency, the source of it are the words you see on your screen.
Well, you're talking about the War Powers Act. And under the War Powers Act, the president has to come to Congress within a certain time frame, and that time frame needs to be honored. In the case of Syria, however, the standards set up in the War Powers Act were not met, and this is why it would have been abuse of the delegation of authority had the president not come to Congress.
The AUMF, which is, there's a great piece on BuzzFeed by Greg Johnson on this that you shall all read. The AUMF, which was passed in the wake of 9/11, that thing is just given an unbelievable amount of carte blanche, and I really think if you want to talk about imperial presidency, left-right coalition to revisit it. Senator Jeff Merkley, Dorian Warren from Columbia University, and the great MSNBC contributor Josh Barro. Thank you all back from LA. That is all in for this evening. The Rachel Maddow Show starts right now. Good evening, Rachel.
Good evening, Chris.